Look at this boy. You want to be in the video? You know you're the star of the show? You can see behind me my shelves are empty, and that's because I'm going to be remodeling this area of the basement and creating my own custom shelves back here, so things had to come off of these so I can get them out of here. Anybody who's ever moved whiskey before knows that it sucks. It's heavy, it's fragile, it's awkward. Nobody likes it. And in packing up all the stuff that I had on these shelves, I realized that my bottom shelves, which I referred to as the shitter shelves, have a lot of things on them that I am never, ever going to drink. Some of this stuff came over here from the old studio, so it's been here for multiple years untouched, and it was in the old studio for multiple years untouched. Your ears are in the shot. I do not want to go through the trouble of moving it from this location to the other room where I'm storing everything and then moving it back into here. It's just time for this stuff to go. We hear the term drain pour in whiskey a lot as just a pejorative, like, ugh, that's a drain pour. But today, we're going to literally drain pour whiskey. I've got this whole big pile of stuff that I no longer want, so I'm going to be donating it to my bathroom sink. All right, welcome to my bathroom sink. These first two, no-brainers, plastic bottles, not even whiskey. They gotta go. This Rock and Rye I got like as a gag along with a shipment of something I won. The Captain, I don't even remember why I have. It was probably to make some kind of drink. Next up, pre-mixed cocktail that I bought for a Kentucky Derby stream. This stuff isn't bad, but honestly, if I'm gonna have a mint julep, I'd probably just make my own. It's been open for a couple of years now. It's probably not even good anymore. Another pre-mixed cocktail. This is a High West barreled Manhattan. High West I'm just not even into anymore. It smells weird too. Here's one from an old video. It's a bottle of Bulleit, but if you can see in there, it has a bourbon bullet in it. Maybe I can get it out once I empty this out. This was the Cherry. Did this all the way back in 2021, apparently. Put this Bulleit in there. It was only supposed to be in there for like a week. We just left it in. Cherry was the only one of the bullets that actually tasted okay. The other two got dumped when we moved out of the studio. This one got stuck into my box of whiskey for some reason. I'm sure that is dreadful at this point. There's the Bulleit. For those of you that didn't see this video, it's a piece of wood that you're supposed to put in your bourbon bottle because bourbon's supposed to be smooth, is what the guy said. But yeah, it's just a chunk of wood. It's supposed to like keep aging your whiskey in the bottle. That doesn't work. This is bio whiskey. Bought only for the show. It's bourbon whiskey with natural flavors infused with a secret recipe of 16 natural botanicals. This was a gimmick that was basically like, if you drink whiskey with this stuff infused into it, you won't get hangovers. It tastes awful, and I am not sad to see it go. This is the problem with doing a whiskey tube channel, is you need content to review, and in our area, finding good stuff was not great for a while, so we kind of leaned into finding weird shit, and then you're left with bio whiskey. This should be no surprise. Proper 12. It's awful. This is actually the second bottle of Proper 12 I've owned. The first one was terrible, and I would never buy it again. But this was gifted to us by our friend Justin Ernest because he bought it and said, this really sucks. You guys should review it. So we did an actual review on it. This is the worst Irish whiskey I've ever had. Disgusting. Goodbye. Well, hold on. I don't know that I can call it the worst Irish whiskey I've ever had. That title goes to that one that Stacy sent me for Secret Krampus last year. But I kept that bottle because that is bad in such an interesting way. Proper 12 is just garbage. Speaking of garbage, Woodson whiskey. I love Charles Woodson. His whiskey, not great though. I did see that they are putting out something that's actually aged more than 6 months. I don't know if we can get that to focus here. Aged 6 months. Accelerated aging techniques. It didn't do much. It's not good. Those of you who watched that episode of the show might remember that Bradshaw bourbon beat it. And if you've had Bradshaw bourbon, that says a lot about Woodson whiskey. Here's another terrible thing we bought for the show. Cooperstown. Cool bottle if you're a baseball fan. This whiskey is fucking awful though. This is terrible. I was surprised that whiskey could be this bad. And they put it in a bottle like this it's the only way it was ever going to sell. You know, originally, we knew this was going to suck when we bought it. And we were going to take it outside and I was going to hit it with a baseball bat. But that never came to be. I don't feel like cleaning up glass. I might keep the bottle though. It's kind of interesting. Now we're getting into our real bullshit era. Curveball, flavored whiskey. There's going to be a few flavored whiskeys in here. This is Curveball's barbecue whiskey. It's an interesting party trick, but I think everybody that would want to try it has tried it at this point at my house. You can see the nose on it. Nose on it is awesome. And if the nose followed through in the flavor, that would have been great. But it's just so sweet. If it stayed smoky and savory, this would have been really good. They almost had it. They were close. For all you Scotch fans, you might get upset at me. I just have much better Scotch than this. This is Trader Joe's Isle of Storm. I've had this bottle before we even moved into the old studio. I mean, this bottle is likely 7 or more years old. It's not awful, but I've just got better options. Clearly, I have not touched it. It doesn't need a spot on the shelf. This is strangely cathartic. This one hurts a little. Slipknot, number 9 Reserve. I believe this is made by Cedar Ridge. It's Iowa whiskey. It looks like there's a scratch off on the back here, but it's not actually a scratch off. Cedar Ridge makes really good stuff. This bottle is not part of that really good stuff. Yet another celebrity whiskey. That's just putting their name on something to sell it. Getting shit out of the warehouse as fast as possible. There's no need for it in my life. Ooh, here's an ugly one. Cold Cock. American herbal flavored whiskey. What flavor is it? Herbal. That's all they give you. Ugh. I'm just nosing it out of the bottle. Terrible. Eddie bought this. And we never drank it in the old studio, so Eddie never even got to try this. This sucked. This was disgusting. I had one drink out of that and never touched it again. Truly terrible, terrible stuff. Here's one that might ruffle some feathers. Legion. We don't know how to say it. We just know it's not good. We actually bought this on the recommendation of somebody. Eddie picked it up and it just wasn't good. You know, it's from Beam, but it's like Beam's take on like a Japanese influence. We've had it for years. It just sits on the Beam shelf, taking up space that could be better served with like a Booker's. It's just gotta go. Eucalyptus and bullshit are my flavor notes on it. A little spilled on my finger. Yeah, no, that's not good. Stand by while we rinse. This one will feel good to get rid of. This whiskey is fucking terrible, and it just tastes like raisins and disappointment. It's like as bad as this band's music has become. It's blackened. The Metallica whiskey. This bottle is very old. This predates the studio space. So we're looking at 6 years maybe, even more possibly. There's still that much left in it. Just awful raisin flavored, just Not good. Not good. And the blackened radio commercials were terrible too. Here's a cheap one. It wasn't super offensive, but it's just not anything I'm ever gonna drink. There's so much sugar in this shit that I just can't even drink it anymore. And if somebody comes over, we're probably just gonna get a Crown Peach and mix it with actual iced tea rather than drink this. It was bought for the show. I'm not mad at it, but I'm not sad to see it go. I'm running out of space to put my empties. We've migrated to the top of the toilet tank. Here's another piece of flavored nonsense. Everybody's tried this that's going to try it at my house. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not great. And honestly, if I want a spicy whiskey, I'm gonna drink Dickel Tabasco, because Dickel Tabasco is way better than this. It's the pickle side of it that's odd. This one's sad, because Oppidan Smoke and Sea, I really, really like. This one though, the regular small batch, it tastes so young that I don't even think putting it in like a batch cocktail would work for it. I just took a little taste of it again to make sure. It's exactly what I remember. Huge disappointment. Love Oppidan Smoke and Sea. Loved Oppidan Cane and Rye. Have bought backups of those, but there's their regular. At this time when I bought it, batch 12. It was a rough batch. Monkey Shoulder. No explanation needed. If you've had it, you know. Corsair Wildfire. I was a big fan of Corsair Triple Smoke, so when I saw this, thought I'd give it a shot. Clearly I wasn't impressed. Just tasted it, still not impressed. It's a malt. I don't really have any cocktails I'd make with that. Like a lot of American single malts. Young and harsh. And now the reason that I bought that bottle, because early on in being a whiskey drinker, I loved this bottle. I thought it was so fucking good. And I was happy when I found it again. And you can see, I've not drank much of it. I will give it a little taste just to make sure here. No, that's gotta go. That's an evolution of your palate, you know. You're trying new things. I think this was so out there to me the first time I had it. It was so crazy. And now I've just had things that are so much better than this that, you know, if I want smoky whiskey, I'm not going to that. And here's the one that when I posted the picture of the tote full of dump bottles, everyone was hitting me up about this. I've decided to not dump it out. I might do another review on it. I know I don't like it, but this bottle, our review of this, gets like more views than anything on our channel. Maybe I'll do a second review, revisit. I will not be dumping the Jefferson's Ocean today. Now for the final bottle, nearly full. One of the worst things I've ever tasted and would not want to have anyone else try. Glyph. Our friends Neil and Christopher would say, go Glyph yourself. Glyph is fucking terrible. It's like weird science whiskey where basically it sounds like they kind of took neutral grain spirits and then tried to they went to the molecular level or some shit to try to mimic high age, expensive whiskey. It's god awful. And I am so happy that it's gone. There are things that I kept that are bad, but they're bad in a more interesting way. The stuff I poured out was just either undrinkable or unremarkable. I kept the Rare Perfection and the Old Saint Nick and things like that I don't really like, but they're very expensive and people will drink them when they come over. We'll pound through those bottles, no problem. I kept Malort because I love Malort. Malort is good, but I feel this weight lifted off of my shoulders and off of my shelf, and we move on to start the next chapter. Hopefully I didn't upset you too much by dumping all that down the drain, but if I did, I don't care, man. It was my money that I spent. I understand the wasteful nature of it, and it does make you come face to face with that I was wasting money, wasting time, energy, and space in pursuit of this YouTube channel. And it really brings into focus that that's not what I want to do anymore here. And I have plans for other things with the channel going forward. This basement remodel that I'm mentioning is going to be a big part of that. I'm going to document the whole process. I think it's going to turn out really cool. And then when we can finally get all the whiskey back up on the new shelves, it's all going to be stuff that I'm happy to have there. I know this was a weird one, so thank you for sticking through to the end of the video if you have, and I will see you next time. It is going to sound crazy when the recycling truck comes this week.